However, the feedback we did get was predominantly a large concern for everyone who's supported us, who's bought our miners quite a while ago already. They've shown a lot of commitment to us, and the worry was that as soon as we open this up to the rest of the mining universe or the rest of the crypto universe, that we'll have a lot of people coming on board with older hardware, etc., competing and probably eking or removing the advantage that the first movers have. So we did listen. We've listened. We've gone back to the drawing board. It's important that we listen to our community. Just looking at the goals, and this comes back to that as well, is we want to build a sustainable blockchain with sustainable proof of work mining. So that was the first one. Acknowledging our early investors, and that's a high priority. Decentralization always remains a top priority. So any choices we make, we need to adhere to that. And then obviously we always need to make choices that ensure that our network is secure. So that takes us to where we are now. And it feels like we're going around in circles, and to a degree we have, but I think we've made the right choices and we've done it for the right reasons. So the good news is we've gone back to custom mining. So instead of opening it up to generic miners, we've gone back to a BlockDAG set of custom miners. The benefit of that, obviously, to you, the community, to people who bought miners, is that we get to control, not in a bad way, but at least there is a level of control of the number of miners that go out there, which gives you a window of protection from big mining pools, big mining houses, etc., coming up and gobbling up all the revenue. So I think, I mean, that I think is a very positive move from our side. There's some technical reasons why it's also positive. So besides obviously good for the community, and I mean, I'm thrilled about that, because after the last AMA, it felt like a bit of a loss in that we presented what we felt was a good solution, but there was a lot of unhappiness, and that's not what we wanted. So after going back to the drawing board, we've come back with a custom miner solution. It's based on and again, this was a change because we went back to this. We said, well, let's relook at how we're doing it, what we're using, etc. We always talked about a SHA-256D, which is a variety on that. And we felt that at this stage, let's make sure that we're using the best algorithms. And we looked at that and we went with the KCAC-256, which is effectively a newer version of SHA. So SHA-256 is a second generation. KCAC is a third generation, so it's better security, it's more efficient. So from a mining perspective, it's more efficient. And it's obviously, it's just the future. So it's well used. It's not that we're going with something untried and tested. The Ethereum proof of work mining was based off this, although it was sort of a previous iteration of this. The other reason this is important is if you look at new chains when they go up, they're most susceptible to things like 51% attacks early on when they're small. And that is made many, many times worse if you operate, or if you start an environment where there are lots of miners that can come onto the chain. And the reason is anyone who wants to attack can go and buy miners off the shelf. There's a lot of miners available and they can use that to their advantage. If we go out with our custom miners, we control that narrative. We control how many miners are sold, and we can make sure that the mining pool is distributed and it's not sitting in any sort of large whale hands. So I think that's important from a security perspective. Because of this, obviously we've been set back a bit because it was partly back to the drawing board. ETA on the shipping is Q1 of next year. Something to remember is, and this is a trade-off, because we are going with a custom miner, which protects everyone, the converse of that is these miners won't mine other algorithms. And again, we had to make a decision on this. We couldn't have sort of one without the other. So it's a custom miner. It'll only mine BlockDAG, but that also means it won't mine other chains as well. So that's just something to bear in mind. I know that goes against previous communication, and we apologize for that, but we had to make the right decisions for the network and also based on what people wanted from us. I'm sure there are going to be questions on the miners. I didn't want to get too bogged down in that. Obviously, there's a lot more detail in terms of what those machines will look like. power consumption, noise, all of those sort of things, and we'll answer that as we get closer to having specifics on those machines. So the next section, I'm going to hand over to Jeremy. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, and then he's going to take you through an update on the development side of things. So Jeremy, I'm going to mute myself if you want to take over.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Harkness, as you heard. I'm the new CTO of BlockDAG. I couldn't be more thrilled to be part of this incredible journey. Anthony has alluded to my diverse background. I've been in AI, blockchain, data science, electronic engineering and manufacturing, many other things. These projects have allowed me to build a very long and rich history in technology, which hopefully will allow me to create and work through the BlockDAG challenge with flying colors. So that's my little function, who is me, and you can see I'm the CTO and a little bit about what I do. Just moving into what has happened lately, we've successfully completed phase 1 of the BlockDAG deployment and development journey, and this phase was a crucial stepping stone that allowed us to validate the core architecture and to test its capabilities in the real-world conditions. The alpha testnet, which provided valuable insights confirming our design choices and support the scalability, security, and efficiency requirements for our decentralized platform. As with any ambitious endeavor, we have faced challenges, but these challenges only strengthened our resolve. Lessons learned during phase 1 have been instrumental in shaping our roadmap for the future. The alpha testnet not only allowed us to validate our technological infrastructure, but also engage in a vibrant community who played a key role in providing critical feedback. Your enthusiasm and collaboration helped us refine our implementation, address early stage bugs, and optimize our protocols. The successful completion of phase 1 has set a strong foundation for what's to come, and we are incredibly grateful for the support from our community and our development teams. The alpha testnet. This has received enthusiastic feedback from our participants, marking an exciting milestone as that was the first public interaction with our technology. Users engaged deeply with our platform. They provided extensive input and usability, performance, and functionality. We currently have over 80 third-party nodes running on our testnet, and this has enabled us to gather important statistics on network stability, transaction throughput, and latency. These metrics have been pivotal in assessing our current capabilities and identifying areas for improvement. As usual, several issues were raised, particularly concerning transaction processing times, node synchronization, and node synchronization. We have systematically addressed these challenges, making significant progress in optimizing our code base. The feedback has helped us deliver a more user-friendly and resilient system. We are particularly proud of the stability metrics achieved, which exceeded our initial expectations, and the data collected during this phase will guide our optimization efforts as we move forward into phase 2, ensuring a smoother and more efficient experience for all users. As far as security is concerned, ensuring security on our network is of our utmost importance. To strengthen our approach, we have expanded our DevOps team and enhanced the automation, security, and optimization of our blockchain infrastructure, ensuring high performance, scalability, while maintaining continuous improvements. Our initial security audits is currently underway, involving rigorous testing and evaluation to ensure the system is resilient against potential threats. This includes vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, and a thorough code review to identify and mitigate risks. The audit process has already helped us bolster our defenses, ensuring our infrastructure is robust, capable of withstanding malicious attacks. In addition to the internal audits, we are preparing a comprehensive third-party audit. This is set to commence once our internal audits have finalized. Engaging an external auditor brings an additional layer of scrutiny, providing an objective evaluation of our security posture. This will validate our efforts and reassure our community and stakeholders that the platform meets the highest security standards. Security is a continuous process, and we are committed to maintaining a proactive stance as we evolve. The development of phase 2 has already begun. We are building a more We are building upon valuable learnings from alpha test network while introducing exciting new features that enhance functionality and user experience. Our goal is to make the beta testnet a significant leap forward on the alpha. Key areas of focus include optimizing transaction throughput, enhancing node communication protocols, and integrating advanced smart contract capabilities. We are also working diligently to improve the user interface and the APIs to make it more intuitive for both the developers and the end users. The beta testnet, which is planned for early January, will be a more feature-complete version of the platform, incorporating several enhancements, which we have identified as priorities during phase 1. These include better error handling, detailed analytics, and improved synchronization across nodes. We believe that the beta testnet will be a pivotal step in demonstrating the full potential of BlockDAG, and we are confident it will exceed your expectations. Transparency has always been a core value of BlockDAG, and our Explorer is being enhanced to reflect this commitment to you. The upgraded Explorer will include detailed visibility into smart contracts, token details, and node visualization, giving users a comprehensive understanding of how the network operates, including the relationship between nodes and the flow of transactions. The node visualizer is an exciting addition that will allow users to see the decentralized nature of the network in action. It will illustrate how nodes communicate, propagate transactions, and achieve consensus, making it easier for users to grasp the underlying mechanism of the BlockDAG structure. Additionally, the Explorer will provide more granular detail on token transactions, including histories and smart contract interactions, offering a deeper level of transparency for developers and stakeholders alike. The upcoming beta testnet will be a major milestone, both technologically and in terms of community involvement. We encourage everyone to participate, provide feedback, and help us shape the future of BlockDAG. Your support and insights are what drive us forward, and we remain committed to building a platform that empowers individuals and businesses. We are dedicated to the continuous innovation, optimization, and improvement of the platform's capabilities, and delivering impactful solutions for all our users in the broader ecosystem. As we move ahead, we will build on the strong foundation, pushing the boundaries of what is possible with decentralized technology, and strive to set a new standard in the blockchain space. Thank you very much. I hope that's informative, and I'll hand over to our next speaker, which I think is Stephen.
It's actually back to me briefly, and then...
sorry. Sorry.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Jeremy. I did realize, I think I said that you joined us 2 weeks ago, which is not true. I think you joined more than a month ago. It just shows how fast time goes. But yeah, you're making a difference, and yeah, good to have you on the team. And thanks for that presentation. I'm just going to take you through, and it's a bit of an extension of what Jeremy went through, but it's from a non-tech perspective. It's really a high level on the roadmap of what we're building. I just want to start by explaining, and we talk about phase 1, phase 2, but I think what's important is when we started the project, we had a plan. We had a goal in terms of a raise, and that was always $600 million. And we had a goal of launching towards the end of the year, our main net. We believe from a tech perspective, we're there. So our phase one is effectively what we envisaged. We've built all the aspects of the main net that is needed to launch. So we have a DAG-based blockchain. It has the full consensus mechanism. We have an explorer which covers a lot of functionality in terms of being able to interact with that and understand the underlying of the chain. We have our nodes which can run decentralized. We have the EVM add-on or compatibility, which allows us to run Ethereum smart contracts. And we have our smart contract IDE as well. And those were the core components. I don't think I've left anything out. They're the core components of what is needed to launch a mainnet. We're busy with the security audits, as Jeremy said. So we're finalizing, Yusuf is finalizing the internal audit. He's our internal security specialist. And then we'll go outside for third-party audits as well. So at the end of that, we're ready to launch from a tech perspective. So we like to say, and that's why you've seen some of the marketing that went out, is that our main net is complete. And we're very confident to say that. We're assuming that the whatever comes out in security audits, whatever it might be, we'll fix it. But we're pretty confident that we don't expect much to come out of that. We are ready technically. From a raise perspective, obviously we're not at 600 million, but we hit 120 million, I think yesterday, $120 million. I mean, it's a massive feat. We've done exceptionally well, thanks to our marketing team who keeps on astounding me with the things they come up with. So they're roaring ahead and doing fantastic things there. And we expect that to start picking up. I mean, especially with the markets as the markets are now picking up as well. We're starting to see that equally. So while we are still busy with our pre-sale, which is still due to finish only when we hit 600 million, we have time. So that's why we've entered phase two. So phase two is effectively it's a couple of different components. The first one is additional components on, it's actually not listed here, but there's some additional features or improvements on the blockchain itself. Things like, and they get quite technical, things like allowing the blockchain to be upgradable. So instead of having to hard fork a blockchain when there are technical issues, it can be upgraded under certain conditions. So there's some pretty novel and important improvements to the chain that we are going to be working on. That includes also chain optimizations in terms of being able to run faster, have higher throughput. Obviously, what's important is being able to transact quickly with fast block times, etc. So the optimizations will all work towards improving that. In terms of the Explorer, there's additional things that we are busy with. So we're busy with the node visualizer, which you can see is in green because it'll be released quite soon. It's almost complete. The ability to view contracts, to verify them, and then also to view tokens is all mostly complete, just not launched yet to the public. And those will all be launched as part of the beta, or the next testnet beta. And then additional analytics as well. I mentioned chain optimizations. Then we have the launch pad. So this is the ability for people to come on and quite simply to launch meme coins, launch other coins. Included in that will be things like DeFi components as well. So someone being able to launch a meme coin with vesting, with stable coins, etc., potentially swapping as well. So a whole ecosystem supporting the launching of meme coins and other coins. They don't have to be just meme coins, including NFTs. So that's the launch pad. The other important development we're doing is low-code smart contract builder. So we currently have an IDE which helps you build code, but you still have to actually write the code itself. It has some sample code, but you still need to know what you're doing. This is a low-code version of that, which allows you to select parameters, vesting periods, lockup periods, number of tokens, those sort of things, and it then builds for you. it's almost sort of a simpler version of the Launchpad. The other thing, and this is a big focus, and this is where a lot of effort's going to go over the next couple of months, is the DeFi side. So in order for a chain to become really useful, you need DeFi components. That can either come from within, so we can build them, or potentially you let the third-party ecosystem to build them over time. We've taken the view that there's certain core components that should be part of the chain. So those we are building. So, for instance, making sure that we have stable coins, USDT and C. We'll include those in this phase. That's very important because anything in the DeFi space relies on having that in place. Providing vesting, so that's that's not vesting. So swapping, we're including swapping in there. So swapping between coins on the chain, bridging between other chains will be included, and then also lending and borrowing functionality as well will be in there. So we believe with all of those, that gives our chain the basis that is needed. It makes it a lot more. It means that there's a lot more for other people to come and build on top of. We've created the ground rules. Certain of these functionality we might do in partnership with parties in the industry, and that's the reason we would do that is not because we can't or don't want to develop it, but it's because it's good to start working with third parties. So some of them strategically we might do with third parties in a collaborative sense, if you want to call it that. Sorry, the one that I had there is vesting is actually staking. So we'll also be including staking. The benefit there is obviously for everyone who is keen to hold on to their coins, and we hope that everyone is because we're creating massive value for the long term. So when you hold on to your coin, instead of it earning nothing, you can stake it, you can pick the duration, and you will earn some sort of APY. It will be a pretty good return that you can earn. Details we don't have yet, so as soon as we've got that, we'll obviously release that to everyone. So I think with all of this in place, so just in summary, phase one is effectively what we set out to build, and that's complete. And we're just finishing off with the security audits. Phase two, we've started, and that's adding a bunch of functionality on top of that, which puts us in a fantastic position when we finally do launch. Within phase two, we will have another beta testnet. So that's, as Jeremy said, will give the community another chance to work with the chain. It'll be more mature. It'll have more functionality. It's also what's needed when builders start coming on and start building, because obviously we don't want to wait till our chain launches before people build on top of us. So they need to come on earlier, and it's important to have a beta testnet so they can start building on top of that, testing against it, etc. So by the time we go live, we've worked through all the issues and we've got something rock solid and ready to take on the vigors of live trading. I've just mentioned there again, completion of this will be at the end of pre-sale. We don't have specific timing on that, but we're aiming technology-wise, we're aiming for the end of Q1. So I think that covers everything from my side. I'm going to hand over to Stephen now, who's going to talk us through what's happening on the ecosystem side. Our focus to date has been obviously bringing in investors and marketing to investors, and now this is it's part of our transition. So I'm very confident and comfortable that our marketing team is doing a superb job. I mean, we've all seen all the marketing that goes out there, so that's running superbly well. It's an engine that just keeps on chugging away. Our focus now is making sure that we are ready for when we launch, that we're creating a sustainable ecosystem and a sustainable project that will encourage people to build on top of us. And as part of that transition, these sort of things now become incredibly important. So, Stephen, if I can hand over to you.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, everyone in our ecosystem, for your trust and support as we build the future. I'm happy to share with you a little bit of details about what's next for our community and our ecosystem. we are starting with building on our foundations and expanding that foundation to support the developer ecosystem for both typical developers that want to build tools and dApps of all sorts, and we want to encourage and empower people that want to build businesses on top of BlockDAG. So to that end, we are proud to announce the grants program and the hackathon program. To support those programs, we will also be enhancing our content. You will see in the coming months updates to our website where there will be improved information around developer resources, information for how you might consider being involved in core development down the road with BlockDAG, how you might be involved with developing on top of our network, and how to think about building a business in our ecosystem. To that end, for the startups in particular, we are going to be providing, in addition to grants, marketing support, partner support into the types of services that might be helpful as you build a business. For those that are looking for those types of the type of help that makes sense for them, investor connections, and certainly technical assistance. Let me talk to you a little bit about the grants program. So we're allocating $30 million. Initially, it will be $10 million for the first year and each subsequent year for grants. The grants will be for infrastructure-related things, DeFi, stablecoins, or any other type of technology or application that the community thinks we need. We want to grow vibrant ecosystems that's decentralized. So we want to make sure that you have the tools and resources to envision a future that's powered by BlockDAG. The grants will come from a range of, 10,000 to 100,000 in a mix of USDT and BDAG tokens, and they will be milestone based. So for each grant application, we will review it on a case-by-case basis, work with you to figure out if you're ready to receive grant funding, and figure out for the companies or the projects that go through our process successfully, we'll identify milestones that will map to the distributions of funds. If there are projects that are already in the market or already been developed, we would entertain doing retroactive grants to those projects. So whether or not it's a new project or a project that already exists, please consider building on BlockDAG. I just want to note that everyone that does receive grant funding from us will have to go through KYC, and there will be a non-binding contract, non-binding discussions until we have a formal agreement. So I think this is super exciting. I'm very thrilled that we're going to be empowering lots of builders into our ecosystem. So I encourage you guys all to feel really excited about the current bull market that we're in and think about building on the BlockDAG network. The next component is our hackathon component. And we're going to have a series of hackathons in a decentralized way in many different places where we will provide the tooling support for two-day and maybe longer, or as with grants, we'll figure out what makes sense for the community. But in these hackathons, we expect there to be a pitch, a demo, and a great team that can win some prizes to encourage development. Both of these two programs will be starting fairly soon. They're going to be starting in early Q1, but possibly as early as December. So this is all happening fairly soon. So please stay tuned on our website and all our socials to learn more about these programs. I hope you guys are as excited about this as I am and envision the future built on BlockDAG. I think we're in our Q&A phase. Anthony?
Okay, thanks very much, Stephen. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, super exciting that we're getting into this phase of things. We would love to have a handful of good projects already underway, early Q1. So as soon as we're ready, we'll send out the comms on all the different channels, and then yeah, we welcome people to apply for those. I mean, obviously, people here are probably coin holders, but we'd love that the technologists amongst you also come and build on top of us. I mean, that's a perfect win for us. So yeah, we're really looking forward to getting that going. I think so. That covers all the presentation side. We're happy now to, unless Jeremy wants to add anything else, but otherwise we're going to open up to the floor for questions. Before I do that, just for people who may drop off during the questions, which quite often happens, just want to thank you very much for joining us. The intention is to release a transcript of this, so the video will be made live, made available, as well as a transcript in different formats. But yeah, please hang around, listen to the questions and answers, pose your questions, and yeah, we look forward to another. Well, as long as everyone needs, we've got another 20 minutes or so. Sorry, just opening up the questions. Give me a moment. Okay, there we go. So you should be able to post your questions. Okay, I can see. So there are a lot of questions coming through already. Obviously, we need to pick the ones that are most relevant to us. So we're just going to go through and start answering some of them as we go along. Okay, the questions are coming very fast. So I'm just asking the moderators if we can just pick some and we can start attending to them. First one, how will BlockDAG address user onboarding challenges, especially for non-technical users? So I think what's important here is we want to make it comfortable for everyone. So that comes down to good documentation, a good UI, making them comfortable, making sure that support's there to help them when they need it. Just to mention on the support side, because there are a lot of queries that come through on that, there is a lot of support that comes through, a lot more than you would think. So it does take some amount of time for queries to be answered. So if you can just be patient on that, we are working on all the queries that come through. But yeah, a combination of all the right documentation, having support in place, etc. You guys also feel free to answer questions. It's not just for me. Release date prediction. It's when we hit our target of 600 million. I mean, we've been quite clear about that. That's our stated target. One of the follow-up questions, which is probably in here, but I haven't necessarily seen it, is how do we expect to get there based on the fact that we're only at 120 and we're trying to get 600? So I think the way that's going to happen is obviously we're going to continue with the marketing, but most importantly, it's all the good stuff that we're doing. So it's obviously these AMAs. It's the fact that we've had our alpha test net. We're going to have our beta test net. We've got a robust pipeline of functionality that we're building. We're going to start with our reach outs in terms of the ecosystem. So these are all important things that the community and investors have been waiting for. So we're starting with them. So those will, and we're already seeing an uptick, those are going to make a massive difference in terms of who sees us and who understands what we're about and why they should invest in us. There's a question on, says, good day team, how are you planning to acknowledge early investors? I think early investors have been extremely fortunate in that they bought in at a price which was very low. So I think they took a risk on us and we're super appreciative of that. But they also got a very good price. I think I think at launch, they can look back and say, well, they made a very good investment, and we would love them to look back and know that it was a good investment. So importantly, for us to acknowledge those early investors is to launch something which is sustainable and only builds on their vision and our vision for the future. Jeremy, Stephen, if you want to grab a question or two.
Sure. Somebody's asking, I already have a project that's ready to launch on BlockDAG. Who should I contact for further collaboration and support? Great question. We will have an application for our grants program and our other programs similar to that ready in the next month or so. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you want to participate in the grants program or you want to launch on our network, you'll need to just purely launch on the decentralized network. You'll have to wait for mainnet. But if you want to participate in the grants program, there'll be an application for you to engage with us, and we can work and collaborate with you and get you details and support for launching your project. We'd be excited to hear about it.
Thanks, Stephen. Actually, Jeremy, I've been talking a lot, so you go ahead.
Now, I just see there's a couple of upvotes on the question about what is a contingency plan if the third party audit finds significant security issues. We actually have dedicated resources for that, and we've set aside time to immediately address these issues if they do come up. We don't see that being a problem based on how we're managing the project at this point.
I think just to add to that, this is our second set of internal audits. So we've already been through a first phase. We're going through a second phase. So we're already fairly confident in terms of what we've seen and what we've fixed already. There was a question on Morris. The question was, why haven't we seen him here? They would like to see him as part of the team. Yusuf and Maurice is actually, he's lecturing right now. We only realized afterwards he lectures exactly over this time. What we are thinking of, which I think everyone will appreciate, is potentially having, and maybe AMA is the wrong term for it, but having a session which he delivers, talking through what BlockDAG is in terms of the DAG, what's special about it, how it works, the difference between that and, for instance, Bitcoin, how it takes Bitcoin and puts it on steroids, how it processes transactions in parallel, all of those sorts of things. So I think, it's quite a technical session, but I think there'll be a lot of people who appreciate that, and Morris will be he's the ideal person to deliver on that. Just to mention, he's also busy rewriting our white paper. We felt it needed a refresh, given that we've made some tech decisions along the way relative to when it was first written. So it needed a refresh. And it's being done by Morris, who's an academic. So I think it'll come across as more of an academic document as opposed to a semi sort of salesy document, which I think was the first iteration that we delivered on. Was BlockDAG inspired by Casper? It was, and we've been open about that. Casper was inspired by Ghost protocols and other things as well. We're all benefiting from some fairly high-level intellectual research that was done before even Casper started building their chain. And we're also we have plans, and Jeremy's already started working on this. We have plans around certain areas where we plan to make changes that are very specifically unique to us. But for now, yes, we have a lot of the concepts within Casper and BlockDAG are similar. A key difference is obviously our EVM compatibility, which allows us to run smart contracts, which they don't have. There was a question on what makes or is BlockDAG better than others. I mean, that's hugely subjective. I don't think that this is a race where there's one winner. There's space for a lot of winners. We will be one of them, but there will be a lot of blockchain or a number of blockchains that end up as the de factos out there. Obviously, we expect to be one of them. So I think in terms of we made a conscious choice to go proof of work, which we believe in. We know Bitcoin, it's well trusted. We've seen how well it's performed. It hasn't been hacked. All of those good things. So it's a solid base we're working on, but we've put it on steroids with the introduction of the DAG. We're not going to be as fast as some of the newer proof of stake chains, but those give up. They achieve those speeds through giving up decentralization. So we remain very decentralized, performant, but not at the level of some of these new chains, and secure. So those are the key things. Is we've picked a spot where we would like to operate. We're never going to be, or it's very unlikely we're going to be the 100,000 transactions per second, because all of those chains give up decentralization to get to that. I don't know if Jeremy has any more, or Stephen, any further to add to that.
No, I think that all makes sense. So with a question here, are there plans for integration with existing blockchains or DeFi platforms? I'm a big advocate of a multi-chain future. I think when we all think about what blockchain networks empower, I think everyone on this call is very likely aware that we live in an ecosystem of blockchains. I think BlockDAG will benefit from finding itself bridged and connected to the ecosystem. When we think about BlockDAG, it's important to think about one of the reasons we chose EVM compatibility. That's so that we can support the builders and the ecosystem that exists in the extended EVM ecosystem. So we should expect that some of our partners, some of our grantees, and some of the hackathon folks, and some of the people from outside the BlockDAG specific ecosystem would choose to integrate with BlockDAG, and we might choose to explore things with them as well. Part of that, I think Anthony mentioned earlier, that we'll be looking to supporting a stablecoin, USDC and USDT, and that's some of the foundations for those types of interoperability efforts.
I think it's also important to note that you can build on top of BlockDAG most of the other layer 2 technologies that are out there that have been used to enhance transaction throughput. So when you're starting with a base that's really high already, and you're starting with a really decentralized system, I think we're pretty unique in the fact that you can then build on top of that and still have a really, really strong underlying, layer 1 network.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions around things like, well, Ethereum, in terms of how fragmented it's become because of all the layer 2s, where the value is going, dilution of liquidity pools, various other things. I know Stephen follows them very closely and has quite strong views on that. So we believe as a layer 1 that has a lot of the benefits of layer 2 built in, we avoid some of those issues. And it's not that we cleverer than them or anyone. We later to the party, so we get to learn from people who came before us. I mean, that's the benefit of launching when we do, or when we are. Someone was asking, what is a DAG? It's a directed acyclic graph, which is the technical term. It's a bit like a tree, but it also has returns back to it. So a tree would typically sort of start with a single node and it sort of branches out. Whereas this, it's almost a lattice of a bunch of nodes which all interconnect between each other. That's what it is. If you're interested, certainly join us when we have our session, when we actually talk you through how it really works. It's very fascinating. It's interesting. It's simplistic, or it's simple in its design, but obviously it's remarkable in terms of what it achieves for what sounds very simple, but is mathematically very difficult. There's a question on scalability as more users join the platform. So scalability comes in more from a transaction perspective. So you're right, as users join the platform, there will be naturally more transactions, and the platform has to obviously be able to handle that. We believe with the architecture, with the DAG, with the optimizations that will be coming, we will position for whatever's thrown at us in the short term to medium term. And long term, we will continually innovate, we'll continually improve. So we will improve as there is a need. So we need to just stay ahead of that curve. Tokenomics, inflation and market stability. So obviously as a proof of work, we have, well, if you look at our tokenomics, we have 50% of our tokens allocated to mining. That inherently is inflationary, as in over a period we'll be releasing coins. So you can't get away from that. We haven't finalized our fees, but one component of that, well, there's two components. We haven't said a lot about this, but it's also it's an important aspect that we haven't made a big thing about yet, is that we'll be sharing fees with builders, so giving them back for bringing transactions to the network. We'll be giving some of that back to them. A portion of the fees will come to the network, and those will probably be burnt, but we haven't finalized on that. So that is obviously there to reduce the inflationary portion of it and hopefully take us to a stable or deflationary level. Obviously important, there is a fixed finite supply, so that will never change. There was a question on mining pools. So the intention is, and whether we have it at launch. So at launch, then, because now we are going for a softer launch in terms of the mining, we're not trying to open it up too much to everyone outside. So we'll put in place what's needed for our existing miners, the people that are bought miners, and that does mean making pools available. So we'll be working on that. Just a consideration is if you're mining at home, a mining machine needs to talk to a node. So you need to either have your own node, or you need to then talk to a mining pool which runs a node on your behalf. So for the real techies there, run your node. A lot of you are running nodes. If you're not that technical, then you'd need to connect to a pool, which will make sure there are pools in place by the time we launch. Just something which I thought was very exciting is during the testnet, we had close on 100 nodes running. It doesn't sound like a lot, but they weren't that easy to set up. I mean, we've improved our documentation around it. There were some early challenges, but we had 100 external nodes running. They're probably still running because the alpha testnet is still running. We're expecting, obviously, when we go to beta testnet, there'll be a lot more of them. So that's great to see. There's a question on halving. So one of the unique features of the way we're going to be mining is we've moved away from the typical Bitcoin halving. So we all know that Bitcoin halves every 4 years. They started with a certain supply and it effectively halves every 4 years. And at the end of it, they'll get to that fixed supply that was predicted. So the issue with that is it creates quite a big shock to the system. Some people might say, well, that was always good because there was often a big rally after that, so everyone made a lot of money. Our intention here is not to necessarily create that. It's a shock to the system. It means that miners overnight go from being potentially profitable to unprofitable. I know that things all sort of work out in terms of network difficulties and all these things readjust, miners jump off, etc. But it's not really an ideal way in our view. So we're going with a continual reduction, and it's most likely going to be linear as opposed to more of an exponential curve. We will release more details. We're busy working through the final aspects of it, just making sure that all our tokenomics are well modeled and we don't sort of go with a protocol that then bites us later. So work in progress, but as soon as that's finalized, we will launch those details. There was another question on listings. So we've started discussions with various exchanges. We've had a lot of interest from some of the smaller exchanges, really keen to list us, but that's natural. I mean, everyone knows about us. Our interest is not so much the smaller exchanges. Obviously, it's nice to be on them, and we appreciate that. But we're starting to activate the level 2 discussions, and we've already had a in-person meeting with head of country for one of the level 1 exchanges. And that was very positive. They're very keen to have us on board. Having said that, there's a lot of work that we have to do to get there. It's certainly not simple these days. So by no means slam dunk, but we're hoping to list on between 5 and 10 exchanges, or be at 10 exchanges within a couple of months of listing. So we're very aggressive, but based on the discussions we've had and the interest we've had, we're very confident that we'll get there pretty quickly.
Okay.
There's a question on airdrops. I mean, I think that features the broader question there is what happens at launch, and how do we manage that. So there are quite a few moving parts in terms of how that happens on our side, in terms of making sure it's securely done. The challenge is obviously we could have probably more than 1 million investors at that stage. So it's a large list that we have to securely airdrop tokens to. We have to do it carefully. We have to do it properly. And obviously we can't have anything going wrong. Once it's done, it's done. There's no reset or retry or fix it afterwards. So we're starting to plan that, but it'll come through as an airdrop. There will be vesting periods enforced on those tokens. It's in terms of the pre-sale, it's over a 4-month period. So first month is a 40% you have access to, then 20%, 20%, 20% for the next 3 months are released. So that's the vesting period. Anything else, Stephen or Jeremy?
I'd maybe just mention that even though I haven't been there that long, I've spent some hours trying to think about where we're going to be going with the long-term roadmap. So there is already R&D in the pipeline for the things that will come, over the next couple of years. Just so you can all be looking forward to some good things.
I think these have been some great questions. I'm looking forward to seeing the community activate and start building with us. Okay, well, thanks very much to Jeremy and Stephen. Appreciate you joining me on the AMA. And to everyone who's joined us, appreciate your time. I hope we've answered a lot of your questions. The plan is to have more frequent AMAs, and they'll become more question related and less about us sort of just talking to you. As I said, we'll schedule a technical one around the DAG protocol as well, which I think there's a lot of interest in that. So yeah, just a big thank you from all of us to all of you for supporting us, for being here for this, being on the journey with us, and all we want to do is deliver something sustainable that makes us and everyone who's entrusted their money and time with us, that makes everyone proud to be part of it. So that's really where our big focus is. So thanks again, and we look forward to further AMAs in the near future.
Thank you.
Ciao. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.